All right, welcome back to Statement Games Live. This is episode 10. I'm Nathan, and I'm here with Mark. How's it going, Mark?
Happy New Year, Nathan. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm doing fine, feeling much better. A lot of stuff kind of going on. And we were
Yeah,
just talking about this 2 seconds ago. It goes quick, Episode number 10.
yeah, I know. We're hitting the double digits right now,
We're
just
hitting
getting
double
into our
digits.
stride.
We're finding a little bit of rhythm here. I guess we'll start kind of putting some of the marketing tactics to the test here, all in an effort to promote our show. But you tell me, I think we're at a point in here where I'm feeling comfortable with the flow and the rhythm of the show. So let's see if we can kind of do our best to, I guess, get our message and our entertainment value out to the masses.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with that, why don't you go into why people should be paying attention to this show?
Just going to keep it short and sweet this week here. Of course, we're providing a little bit of a different take on, I guess, fantasy sports. So we give people an opportunity to win kind of a lot of cash and prizes through a different form of fantasy sports. We have a lot of great stories on what it's like to actually be an entrepreneur in the sports industry. And you know what? A lot of stuff takes place in the gambling space. So we want to keep you updated on it. So between sports and our game and our experiences here, we kind of mesh those things together here to provide something a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you just subscribe to our channel and give the show a thumbs up. Leave a comment with how you like the show and how we can improve. But let's jump into some of your thoughts for this week, your general thoughts there, Mark. What do you got for us?
All right, I didn't put this in the show notes, but I want to kind of kick off with this here because a lot of questions came up on behalf of or for statement games kind of last night. I guess some people were kind of wondering, why weren't we running the Cotton Bowl, which was the Florida Oklahoma State game, given that what we got some good stuff taking place as we lead up to New Year's Day with the Rose Bowl as well as the Sugar Bowl, which is the BCS playoff kind of games here.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure if you kind of notice. I mean, did you actually see how many freaking players from Florida opted out of the Cotton Bowl? It's not like it's the
Hmm.
Independence Bowl or the Toilet Bowl or some type of scrub bowl that nobody really pays attention to. The last time I actually looked at it, it's the fucking Cotton Bowl. It's a pretty kind of
Yeah.
very prestigious and big kind of game here. And from my particular perspective, it was almost as if Florida just kind of trotted out the practice squad, and as a result, they got fucking destroyed. They got blown out by Oklahoma. So once you kind of start seeing a lot of these so-called NFL ready collegiate kind of players opt out of these bowl games here, as a company, it's very hard for us to set lines and take a look at what's going to be taking place when you're literally you're still dealing with kids. These are not professional
Mhm.
athletes. You're dealing with literally people who are coming off the practice squad who are 18, 19 years old, and it's not necessarily a true reflection of the game here. So just like we don't run preseason NFL games or basketball games or baseball games or anything like that here. It sucks for me to say it. I'm pretty much at a point in where, unless it's like BCS championship games or BSF playoff games, I think all these collegiate bowl games should be just squashed, outlawed. Transition kind of like these bowl games into conference championship games. If you're a smaller conference, I understand that these bowl games are a big deal for you, but uh, sorry, nobody cares in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, did you watch any bowl games this month?
No, not at all. And I would say that, it is in the best interest of these athletes to opt out of these games at the end of the year when there's so many times someone athlete that has high draft potential in the NFL where they're going to make, millions of dollars just from showing up. Uh they get injured and lose their draft value completely. Um, so it's this is not uncommon, and it's a topic every year about
Yep.
these bowl games and just how athletes just won't play them.
I take a little bit of a different position. I understand kind of like the arguments. If I had a son or if I was, talented enough to be playing kind of like at that level, I might be echoing or saying kind of like a different tune here. From my perspective is you've made an obligation to your school, to your family, and to your team. You've committed to kind of like playing football for an entire year. If you're hurt, you're hurt. I mean, don't. I'm not asking you to play if you're hurt or
Yeah.
something like that here. But you know, and like I said, it's the Cotton Bowl. It's not, the Florida Chip Bowl or something like that that's taking place on the 14th of December between, Southwest Tuskegee State versus, Southwestern, Lafayette or whatever the hell it is here. It's a pretty freaking prestigious bowl. I would give my right arm to play in a game kind of like of that magnitude of that here. So for me, I would like to kind of see these guys play in those types of games, especially the prestigious New Year's Day bowls. But I'm not even sure if there's such a thing as these New Year's Day bowls. It just seems like the bowl games that I was accustomed to watching when I was a kid are New Year's Day, Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Cotton Bowl, things like that here. They're all taking place on different days and times anyway. It's like, New Year's Day is completely, it's just different. So from that regard here, that's my little, I guess, 2 cent train of thought on the bowl games and what we're looking like, leading into the BCS playoffs and the BCS championship game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's definitely, as far as the college playoffs, some draw for these athletes to definitely play those. But I mean, in this day and age, you got to look at this as a business. Like these athletes are investing in themselves. Oftentimes they come from very little means. And I don't know if I was coming up and looking at a big payday that could change my family's, lot in life. I don't know. I would be doing whatever is best for continuing that career. So,
you know what? I get it. I just want to pull it up real quick. I mean, in your opinion, how many players? I know I'm putting you on the spotlight a little bit here, and I'm not expecting this off the top of your head here. But if you had to kind of take a guess here, and I can be completely off base, I'm going to raise my hand. I'm not a huge Florida Gator fan. For me to sit here and tell you that 2, 3, 5, 10 players in Florida are expected to receive a big payday by going in first or the top tier of the second round of the NFL draft, I have no idea. But I mean, I think it was close to, like 19 kind of players that opted out of that game, and as a result, what was the final score? Was it like 52-14? I mean, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, and I mean, so you got about 256 to 280 players that get drafted in the NFL draft, and then you've got some undrafted players outside of that. So, I mean, I'm not completely surprised there was a high number, especially these better teams, and if you're an older team in college football, where you have a lot of seniors playing, that would make sense that you'd have a high amount of people opting out. That said, I think if you're looking at a third round draft grade, I don't know if sitting out one game is going to really affect much.
55-20.
Yeah.
55-20.
But I know that there was about 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, there was a player that had a 101. He was graded at like the 101 and decided to play in his bowl game to support his team. I think he was on Ohio State, and he blew out his ACL and never got drafted. So went from the 101 to not in the NFL because of one injury in the bowl game.
I mean, look, I see it kind of like all the time, but I mean, I got to think of the guy's name here. I mean, there was a couple of I mean, there was a big kind of like time cornerback the Giants had actually drafted out of LSU, got into a car accident, tore up his his ACL, never made it. Obviously, there was the big time kind of running back that they actually took like a couple of years ago. Forgot his name kind of already here, but he used to, I guess, be very proficient on kick returns. He used to do flips in the end zone when he kind of scored a touchdown. Tore his kind of his layup here. He was kind of never the same here. I mean, you can make like the argument, and there's countless stories like that. That hey, you know what, you can do that crossing the street or just kind of playing football here. And again, I get it. And I remember, I think it was like the Independence Bowl. I mean, wasn't it like a couple of years ago where McCaffrey kind of opted out of the Sun Bowl or the Independence Bowl for Stanford in favor of going kind of like pro here. I mean, look, that was a legitimate kind of like top 10, top 5 pick. He was no
Yeah.
less than the second best running back coming into the NFL from collegiate ranks that year. I understand like opting out of that game here. My whole argument was, look, this is not the toilet bowl. This is the Cotton Bowl. I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of heritage, prestige, and for that many people from a major university to opt out of that, just
And
it bothers me.
yeah,
That's
it
how
might
I
also
can
be
leave
a
it at
chain
that.
reaction too. You get like a couple of the higher ranking guys to opt out, and then the other guys look and say like, "Hey, we have less of a chance now. Why even play?" It could kind of
Exactly.
spiral.
And that's the point that I'm making. So basically, you just let your teammates, basically just get embarrassed on national television on the Cotton Bowl and basically have a 55-20 final score stain against your university and the people who are actually playing that game. Um, and I mean, look, I'm a little, old school and a little bit older. I just kind of like remember some of the things that Bill Parcells used to actually say. Hey, you know what? When you're kind of like out of contention from a team here, go tell the guy who's got a block for the third string quarterback if that game doesn't matter to him, or the people who are kind of like playing for the first time, that it's a meaningless game here. You're making a commitment to the team. You're playing football for a period of a year. You're on scholarship. You're a football player. I mean, like Belichick says, football players play
Yeah.
football. So
Mhm.
at such an early age, I mean, I understand if you're 30 and 33 years old and you're trying to squeeze out one extra year, and maybe you kind of like take it easy in the OTAs and potentially report like a little bit late, or take it easy in the beginning stages of training camp and things like that to preserve yourself for the season. But when you're a
Mhm.
freaking kid and you're opting out of playing football um, to further ready yourself for the NFL draft here, to me, it's a slap in the face. If I was a teammate off Florida here, I would take issue with those guys coming to myself, because I seriously
Mhm.
doubt that all of those guys have a multi-million-dollar kind of a check waiting for them to cash here by them kind of like preparing for the NFL draft.
Yeah, and you know what? This actually brings up an interesting topic, and I think I'd be very interested in hearing what our audience thinks. This could be a really cool Twitter poll to see um, what everyone else thinks. Like, we are on opposite sides here, so
Yeah.
I'd be curious what the Statement Games user base would think about this.
All right, let's go ahead and do it. But hey, we got a ton of crap to kind of like get through today. Yeah, I got a
Yeah,
couple other things here. We'll just kind of go through real quick. Um, I don't want to, I guess, harp on it because I think there's a lot of stuff that's actually been said about it kind of like already. But overall thoughts on basically kind of like Adam Gase not necessarily getting the approval from the Jets organization that he's kind of coming back. I mean, I'm just trying to put myself in that type of situation, and I understand that the guy kind of like sucks, and I'm sure that as as a coach of kind of like that magnitude, you got to be thinking in your back of your mind here that once the season ends, there's probably a, I don't know, 85% chance that I'm not coming back with the organization. But for the organization to pull him aside on like a Monday and say, hey, look, you know what, you're not kind of like coming back. If that was me, I'd be like, fuck you, I'm out of here. So my question to
yeah.
you is, if that was you, would you stay and coach that last game, or would you kind of like pony up a double-barreled middle finger to the organization and say kind of like I'm out?
So I guess I'll answer that with a question. Do you think Adam Gase hasn't already done that by losing that first overall pick? To me, that's him double barrel, like, fuck you on his way out because
No, I think it's different when you're a player or you're a coach. And like I had said, before, football players play football, and obviously you're playing at the highest level here.
yeah,
You're competing. It's not like you step out on the field and say, hey, you know what? For the detriment of kind of like the team here, we want to go ahead and lose. Like if I'm Sam Darnold, I'm stepping out there. I'm like, you fucking damn right, I want to win here, especially if I want to stay with that team and that organization. I don't want to give the team a chance or the option of picking kind of like my replacement. And I'm sure there's other players kind of like on the roster, whether you're a wide receiver or something like that, that's thinking in the back of my mind here. If I can show something in the next couple of weeks, that's an opportunity for me to change the organization's mind on maybe taking a wide receiver number one or a different kind of like position. So I think it's different kind of like when you're a player. And as a coach, look, these records stay with you. And from my particular perspective, there is a huge fucking difference between 0-16 and 3-13.
Yeah.
Think about it as a
No,
Lions fan
absolutely.
here. What I'm thinking of, not Marianelli, right? The guy who went 0-16 for a Lions.
Yep.
He's 0-16. If you're three, I mean, lots of teams have gone, 3-13, 2 wins, 1 win, or something like that. Here, what is there? 3 teams that have literally kind of like in the history of football that have gone, 0-16. I understand that the Tampa Bay Bucks kind of like went winless, but you don't understand here that's 0-14. I'm talking about like 0-16 since they expanded the NFL schedule. Extremely
It's
kind of
Lions and
hard
the
to do. So
Browns.
I don't think it's him. I think it's and look, like they always say here, all these players every single time that they step on the field, they're auditioning for a spot to remain on an NFL roster, or you're auditioning for your next job here. So
Yeah.
to not
And I would
put yourself in a position to win is something I don't agree with them.
I would 100% agree with you on a player level. Players stepping out on the field always want to win. They always want to do their very best because no matter what, even if they're a third string, fourth string player, they're putting up tape. And I would say that most of the coaches are going to be doing the same thing. They're all auditioning for a higher level of pay, higher level of responsibility. But I can't say that a head coach is in this position is not having that conversation with the front office, the GM, and saying, okay, here's the situation we're in, and here's the opportunity that might come from this. And while a head coach, Adam Gase, anybody in that position might not want to go 0-16, I can't say that they wouldn't in the back of their mind be thinking, okay, how do I thread this needle of, say, winning one game, keeping competitive, but we still maintain, it's like when you're trying to get into the playoffs, you're watching the other teams to see what they're doing. I can't think that that's not a similar mentality in the front office staff and that head coaching position. I'm sure they don't share that with the rest of the team at all. But, as a head coach, you might say, well, hey, maybe we punt instead of go for that 4th down conversion. Maybe we, do a couple things that just isn't the most advantageous just to kind of see, what happens and maintain, not throw the game, but not put their best effort. And I think that, Adam Gase probably had that conversation and was like, no, fuck you,
Maybe. I guess if there was conversations or something like that, and the Jets organization said, "Hey, you know what? We want you to lose the remainder of the games here, but I'm guaranteeing you that you're going to be back like next year." All right, fine. But you know what? If that's the case here, I'm having a conversation with my quarterback. I'm not playing Donald. I'm basically I'm still coaching to kind of win, but I'm putting in players that have no realistic
I would
chance
say
of winning. But I
look to the
seriously doubt that
Lions.
those types of conversations have. But it's interesting, kind of talking things like that. But hey, look, I'm telling you right now, if somebody says, hey, you know what, because you're under contract, right? I mean, even when Gase gets fired, he's got 2 years left in his contract. So, I mean, crap. I mean, if I'm him, I'm
You
definitely hitting the
keep
freaking
getting
golf
paid.
course. I'm hitting the golf course for a year or something like that, regrouping and organizing my thoughts, and then kind of seeing what's happening. He might be in a little bit of a different position, and where if he's got an opportunity to go coach under like the Belichick tree or the Nick Saban tree, kind of back in college, he's not getting another head coaching job, at least in the immediate short term, right?
Yeah.
So he might have to kind of get back on the horse and start building up the clout, so to speak, from an assistant coaching or a coordinator kind of a position. So if he gets those types of opportunities, I'm sure he'll jump on it. But look, you know what? I'm sitting kind of tight. If I'm kind of fired with 2-3 years left on my contract here, just to let me gather myself and see what the next kind of move or what makes sense here is. But also take a look at it from a Frank Gore position here. I mean, look, I don't want to kind of get into the Jets injury report, but he's not playing week 17 or the final game of the season. Some type of chest or maybe like lung injury. I might be making this up here. I could have sworn that's kind of what I'm looking at here. So is that a position of him kind of like really being hurt, or hey, look, you know what? I got my 16,000 kind of yards the other day. I'm now kind of like sitting tight in the top three rushing running backs kind of all time here. Got what I actually needed. I'm done. I'm out. Or is it he's really kind of like hurt? So that's
I
my
would
kind of
probably
quick
put it
take on the
as
case.
like I'd split that. I'd say probably a little bit of both. I mean, take a look at the Detroit Lions and Matt Stafford the last 3 years. I would say Stafford is one of the most like physically tough players in the
Competitive
NFL.
son of a gun.
Super competitive, but when they're out of it, like things are just not going their way. He's getting super frustrated in the games. This back injury tends to pop up, and he tends to start, missing a bunch of games. And I think it's a combination of, there's probably an injury, but at the same time, it's probably Stafford having a conversation with the rest of the front office staff, the coach, and them coming to, well, let's save you for next year. Let's let you rest up, get as much so that we can come back at it.
Is there even a next year for Matthew Stafford? Maybe a different topic for a different day.
I think he's definitely playing the next at least another 3 years. Whether it's with Detroit, I don't know.
Okay.
And
All right.
to be honest, I think it's time for Detroit to release those reins and let him win a championship somewhere else, because it's not happening in Detroit. But that being said, these conversations come up towards the end of the year when players that are, older, and there's not a chance of playoffs. Like, because I guarantee you, if the Jets were looking at the playoffs, the Lions were looking at the playoffs, these players would be on the field, and these coaches would be doing everything they can to make it happen. When it's not in the cards, then you start looking and seeing, other avenues and other things happening.
Okay. All right. Well, all right, look, we got a ton of stuff to kind of get through here. Just a couple little kind of things that I want to throw out your way, just give you an idea of what I'm actually thinking. Like to kind of get your thoughts as well. But what's your kind of take on the whole kind of Haskins ordeal this weekend? And this is what kind of really fascinating to me. I mean, at the beginning of the week here, you probably have a really good indication that Smith is just, another, you want to talk about, great story, another kind of tough son of a gun here, but probably not going to be able to go on Sunday for whatever reason, kind of be given his injuries.
The fact that he's been playing at all is amazing.
And still, even kind of with him kind of out, you're so peeved at your number one draft pick from a very short time ago, drafted very kind of high, one of the highest kind of rated quarterbacks coming into the draft kind of that year. You're so pissed off at him, and granted, strip him from his captaincy, all that other stuff here. You're opting to go with a practice squad quarterback on Sunday Night Football with an opportunity to clinch the fucking division and walk into the playoffs. You would rather tell that guy, look, get the fuck out of here. Take your, strip club, COVID kind of nonsense, and your whining kind of padding stuff here. Just walk kind of right out the door, and we're done with you. As opposed to, hey, you know what? Here, young kid, dumb mistake. We can probably look to maybe coach him up in the off season, get him kind of better prepared for what the NFL is like here. We've invested a ton kind of in you, and not for nothing here, we might actually freaking need you for an opportunity to win a division. Which when was the last time that you said that about, anything other than the Capitals from a Washington perspective?
Yeah. So I think what I'm seeing here is how much is this team valuing culture in the locker room, culture of the team right now? Because if you think about it, they could. I mean, do you think that Dwayne Haskins could win that game?
No, I agree with him. I mean, if it's that bad, and I'm not aware of everything that's kind of like taking place in the locker room. But given all of the things that have taken place in Washington between the top of the organization, the prior kind of coach here, the I guess controversies with females and cheerleaders, and some of the skepticism and I guess dodgy things taking place kind of behind the scenes. The name change here to I guess be a little bit more socially aware of what's kind of like going on in the country here. I don't kind of like fault it for the team getting rid of him, but put all that stuff aside here. I as long as the coach, I really believe and trust in Ron Rivera. If he was the one that was kind of like leading that initiative and kind of like telling me as an executive or the owner of the team here, look, we don't need this guy, and he's not going to make or break our chances for winning this game kind of like anyway, and we'll get it freaking done on defense. I mean, we are going up against a rookie quarterback ourselves. Our defense is the highest scoring defense in the NFL. We just gotta, I don't know, manage the freaking game on offense, and we'll get this kind of like thing here. Yeah, by all means, kind of like get rid of him. That's the way I was kind of like looking at it. But
yeah,
I'm also looking at it if there's any particular way that there's some coaching people on that staff that says, hey, look, you know what, the only way that we have a realistic shot of kind of like winning, and again, it's for place in the playoffs, Sunday night kind of like football. We need him. I'd look to kind of like get rid of him the following week and do what I can to get into the show this week.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that Haskins lost his job to a very old, very injured Alex Smith. Like he lost his job
Alex Smith, he lost his job to a quarterback on the practice squad.
Yeah, well, right. I mean,
when's the last time? Have you ever heard of anything like that? A number one draft pick. So, what was he taking? 15th, 16th, 17th, 2 years ago, something, whatever. I don't know. Maybe it was 10th. I'm not. I really. But let's just top 15, kind of like first round draft pick. When have you actually seen a first round draft pick, not even 2 years later, get replaced by a practice squad quarterback? Has that ever been seen?
How long has it been since Ryan Leaf played?
I mean, I got to take a look at who kind of can replace them or something like that here. But I'm going to go out and limb. He was replaced by some type of, maybe like a Frank Reich or some type of journeyman quarterback. He wasn't replaced by somebody who was on the. Well,
we're also in a we've got COVID going on, so that really kind of changes, makes things a lot more drastic. But I would say that Dwayne Haskins is a bust. That is what it comes down to. If I remember correctly, my buddy who's a Giants fan wanted Dwayne Haskins to go to the Giants and got really pissed off when Danny Dimes got drafted.
I did not want him as a Giant fan. In fact, I couldn't stand it. But then again, I'm extremely biased. I'm also a big Michigan fan, so my bias against Haskins was more from Ohio State. Can't stand those guys. Can't freaking kind of like beat them, and I definitely don't want to kind of join them either. So it was from that perspective. But I'm glad that didn't go in that direction. Looking at it now,
right? Yeah, no, absolutely. And so I think that Dwayne Haskins is just, he's not good, and he's got the culture problems on top of it. Like a strip club, like really? Come on.
You got to be a special asshole, man. You really do. What do you think? You're not going to get noticed? Right.
And so I think it's probably the right move. I think Washington can do it. As we're gonna talk about it later in this episode, I think that's going to be a game where it's going to be Jalen Hurts against Washington's defense, and that's all that matters.
All right, with that in mind, let's just kind of keep trucking along here. Again, a lot of stuff to kind of do this show here. Before we get into making picks here, let's which will be in a couple of additional segments here. Just quick little kind of like a review. I don't want to spend kind of like a lot of time, but we did have a bonus segment of making picks. I'll start with that, or do you want me to start with the football first? Do you not
No,
care?
no. Let's start with the bonus because I want to
We'll
show
start
people.
Yeah, leave that up for a second. We'll segue kind of into it. And again, I don't want to kind of like go back because there's a lot of basketball action that's taken place between Christmas and now. But just for laughs and things like that, here we did cover the Boston Celtics Brooklyn Nets Christmas Day game. I actually happened to go another goose egg, so I went 0 for 3. I had Tatum over 27.5 points, which was incorrect. He put up 20 on that day. I had Kyrie Irving going under 24.5 points, which was 37. I also had any net would have a double-double, but that didn't necessarily kind of work itself out either. Not only did you go 3 for 3 with your picks, in that you had the Nets over 115.5, the Celtics under 113.5, and the Nets covering by 2.5 points. It looks like the other picks that you've made to round out that game also became correct here. So not only did I go 0 for 3 and you went 3 for 3, it looks like I was probably the main reason as to why we didn't win that tournament. When you look at the fact that we went 7 for 10 with their picks, and the only 3 that we got wrong were mine.
Yeah, I could have gone 10 for 10 and won $100.
Yeah, you could have. We'll get into that in a second here. I mean, we did have a special offer. We'll get into a second here, but anyway, that's just so that people are aware of what we actually did with our making picks segment, or bonus making segment picks on Christmas Day. That's what it actually looked like. Jumping into this past Sunday night, Tennessee Titans versus the Green Bay Packers. Did a little bit better. Went 2 for 3 with my picks. Didn't necessarily, if I'm kind of like being honest, the actual game outcome wasn't necessarily something that I was expecting. But that's kind of like the good thing with statement games here, and where your theories can be completely off in some aspects, but you can kind of like be spot on other aspects. I thought it was going to be kind of like a very kind of like tight, close game here. Actually, truth be told, if you'd like the Titans to win that game. However, I did go 2 for 3 in my picks. I had Derrick Henry over 78.5 rushing yards. I was correct on that one. 23 carries, 98 yards, no TDs. His longest rush was 10. I did kind of like pick Aaron Jones under 74.5 rushing yards. Didn't hit on that one. 10 carries, 94 yards, no TDs, but looks like I was incorrect because he ripped off a monster. He had a 59 kind of yard run. Which obviously put everything in a completely different perspective with regards to that pick. I had Aaron Rodgers under 290.5 yards passing. I was correct on that one. 21 for 25, 231 yards passing. The big day for Aaron Rodgers came from his TD score. So 4 touchdown passes and only 1 IT. On the other hand, 1 for 3 for you with your picks here. You had Derrick Henry going over 1.5 TDs. Obviously, didn't have any TDs. Totally nailed the Aaron Rodgers over 2.5 TDs. You had 4, or not you. He had 4, and the total points of over 56.5 was something that was incorrect on your end. Tennessee only put up 10 points in that game. So final score: Green Bay 40, Tennessee 10. Not necessarily something that I was expecting.
Yeah. So just as a total, you went 2 for 6 and I went 4 for 6. So still on top.
Correct. Yeah. All right. Just shows you how good I am at math. When you put it like that, it's not something that I feel good about. All right. Anyway, fucking son of a bitch, man. Just when you think you're kind of like, turning a page a little bit, I'm continuing to turn the page on football. I'm kind of like, giving that, I'm going to throw that Christmas Day game kind of like, completely out the window. It was a first kind of like, shot out of the gate here. It was literally what NBA game, kind of like, number 2. Yeah. I got to kind of, get myself up to speed. And I totally, jumped on the Brooklyn Nets kind of, bandwagon. They pulled out another win the other day here, but they had dropped 2 in a row from since kind of like that win, and kind of completely thrown me off shock with some of my other statement games picks when they played the Memphis Yeah, they played the Memphis Grizzlies and Jock and like Morant here, and it just freaking turned out that Kyrie and Katie decided to take the night off. So you got to be careful and be cautious of things like that, especially during regular season basketball games. Um, different topic for a different game here, but we're going to have to dive into future shows here on some of these athletes basically just bailing on some of these nationally televised basketball games. Different story for a different day. But
for sure. But with my picks, I mean, it makes me look like a basketball guru. And what's funny is I only know football and really only know the NFL.
Who knew? So, who knew? You know.
So this is going to be a whole learning experience.
Sun shines on a dog's ass every once in a while, you know.
As we do this show, and I start kind of diving into other sports and giving takes on that stuff. So it'll be an interesting journey that we're going to have as we move far past 10 episodes. But let's get into some news here. So you've got
we're going to stick with some Statement Games news, unless there's anything really specific that you want to kind of throw in, or you just want me to
spit
run away with it. All right, so kind of like last week, specifically kind of like on Christmas Day, it was loaded with NBA games. You had 5 or 6 nationally televised basketball games starting at 12, and basically kind of I think the last game that tipped off was kind of like at 10:30. So I had kind of like a special offer. And where anybody who actually played, as you kind of like alluded to before, who went 10 for 10 with any of their Christmas Day basketball games, and then in the process of kind of like going 10 for 10, if you had the ability to make a referral, basically refer somebody to Statement Games, I would basically send you $100. So I thought it was kind of like a nice little present, nice little gift. Christmas Day, you're around family, maybe you're at a Christmas party or something like that here. You're around cousins, aunts, uncles, family members. I understand that there's some COVID kind of challenges, but at the very least, you're on the phone in the morning wishing family and friends or throughout the day, Merry Christmas and things like that here. So I went off on a little bit of a tangent on a separate post. You can actually find it on the Statement Games YouTube page here. But as it turns out here, we actually had two players on Christmas Day went 10 for 10 with their picks. So you actually had T. Williams, who went 10 for 10 in that Brooklyn Nets Boston Celtics game, and another user whose username is My Truong, who went 10 for 10 with it was I believe it was the Dallas Mavericks versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Great job, right?
Nice.
Have a chance to pick up $100 here. Completely blew off the notion of making a referral. So they gave me the double barrel finger, in my opinion. Of course, I'm just having a little bit of fun with them. But I guess the overall theme of that rant was, hey, it's got to be really nice to be certain freaking people in this world, right? I understand that $100 isn't necessarily life-altering money here, but who can't freaking use a quick extra $100 on Christmas Day, right? Obviously, it's these two people because they didn't necessarily follow through on the instructions that we had outlined with Statement Games. And you know what? At this particular point, the hell with them. Fuck them. You're not getting $100 here. On the flip side of that, on the positive side here, look, we rolled out this VIP program. We've talked about it a bunch of times here. I'll probably get into it again after this little segment as we kind of move forward here. We rolled out the VIP program. I have some very loyal members of Statement Games that jumped on the VIP program pretty much immediately. Being a VIP member, if you're the overall tournament winner of specific tournaments on Statement Games, like the ones that we run with the IDP guys and some of the Monday night football contests, we bump you up with bonus coins. Which equates to $30, another $75, or exchangeable for an NFL jersey of your choice or fan apparel. But I have 3 people that jumped on the VIP program immediately. They are BXPRJ, they are Musinski 123, as well as Dominate. And obviously, this past Sunday night in the IDP guys sponsored tournament, BXPRJ went 10 for 10 with the Titans versus Packers picks. So wow. He had $30 topped up to his account immediately. We position it where it's a hat or a long sleeve t-shirt, but you can freaking use it for whatever you want. So if you don't want the apparel, get yourself pizza, get yourself an Amazon gift card or something like that, and then follow that up on Monday night. The XPRJ went 10 for 10 again with the with the Bills Patriots game. Also, Dominate, as well as Musinski 1-2-3 went 10 for 10 with that game here. So all three of those people kind of won here. So it was a total of 7,500 coins or an NFL jersey of your choice that would have been awarded to the overall tournament winner. Since all three of them kind of had a perfect score here, we took that jackpot, divided up between the three. Those coins or those credits were added to their account here. So the point that I'm actually making with the VIP program, those three people with what they've won so far, just come up with those couple of tournaments here, have already paid for the VIP program. And between
Right.
now and December of 2021 here, they're basically playing with house money. So congratulations with them. Great job by those people here. And it just kind of shows you, once again, that not only is it not impossible to go 10 for 10 with your picks, it happens fairly frequently. And hey, the minimal investment of $24.99, which equates to about $2 per month, is paid off on spades if you just play and you kind of you grind
Right.
away, which we have a very loyal fan base or user base, and good for those guys. Just wanted to throw that out there as a tidbit of news.
Yeah, congrats to them. But so let's jump into the feature and just keep going with the VIP program here. How do people sign up? How do they get involved? And what's the benefit? I mean, obviously you hear some of the benefit from these guys who went 10 for 10 and automatically had their accounts topped up, but go into it a little more.
Yeah, sure. So the best way to do it is, drop a comment in this thing here. We review all comments. We'll get in contact with you. You can find us on all the social media platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter. It's at Statement Games. Statement Games is all one word. And within the past couple of weeks here, we've just really become a lot more active with Instagram. Again, at Statement Games, you can kind of find us there, follow us there, interact with us, DM with us, drop a comment. Just express some type of interest in the VIP program. We'll get in contact with you immediately, or simply send an email. This is going to come to me directly to marketing@statementgames.com. That comes directly to me. We'll get you kind of set up here. The way that you finally, get involved with the VIP program here, it's all done through PayPal. So we send you kind of quick PayPal invoice / receipt. Once that timestamp is in here, you're set up for the year. On average, we'll run at the minimum of anywhere between 2 and 3 premium tournaments per week, and where it's pretty simple. There's bonus coins of anywhere between 3,000 to about 8,000 coins, so anywhere between $30 to $80 that you'll have the ability to just get your hands on should you become the overall tournament winner of any of these games.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great program, and looking to see just how this whole thing evolves and becomes even better for the users. But with that, let's jump over to making picks here. Nope, wait, we have nuggets of truth. I'm sorry, I'm jumping through our show notes here, but yeah. So with the nuggets of truth, you've got some information on social media and what you're doing to grow the Statement Games brand. I'm going to show the slideshow now if you want to get that set.
It's up there. Let me know if you can actually see it and if it looks
Yep.
kind of okay. Let's see here. Let me.
You want to keep
Yeah,
that?
let's just work with this.
Good.
I'm trying to show a slideshow, but the actual slideshow is showing up on another screen. So instead of trying to figure all this stuff out here, hopefully the people who are watching can kind of just work with me a little bit here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to preface this by actually saying, by no means are we, social media experts. We're constantly, trying new things and learning, as we go. But social media is a big way for us to help get our Statement Game story out into the marketplace, and how we grow our user base here. So one of the questions that I frequently get asked from other particular partners and things like that is, hey, how are you growing your base as a startup? What's working for you? How are people finding out about it? You guys, how you coming in here? So I wanted to just show one example and how I'm actually utilizing an influencer to work with Statement Games. Now, the way that I kind of position and work with the influencers here is, like, look, I'm kind of going to start up here. So if you have, I don't know, 100,000 kind of followers, and you're looking for, I don't know, a 10K check for me to, work with you here, it just doesn't exist, at the specific time. So the way that I kind of look at it is, hey, the State Games platform gives you an opportunity to put stuff out there that's going to further engage your audience, ultimately, right? Acquire kind of more followers, generate more page views, and ultimately make yourself more attractive to a cash-paying premium advertiser and things like that. So that's kind of the value that I'm bringing to the table here by working with you on some of these particular contests. So in this particular case, I want to give a shout out to NFL 32, has done a great job with us, has worked with Statement Games throughout kind of the course of 2020. They actually worked with us in 2019 as well. And as you can actually see here, they have about 14,000 followers. I remember when I first started out with them last year, they were kind of hovering around 9. So I don't want to take credit for all of the new followers that they've actually gained here, but I'd actually like to thank through some of the things that we're doing with them here. We've played kind of a role in their growth efforts in the past, I guess, year and a half. But one of the things that we actually do, and again, we run like these specialized kind of premium kind of tournaments. So kind of touching upon last week's Buffalo Bills versus New England Patriots game here. What we actually do is we come together, we tweet out an offer, and where he's kind enough and where he's kind of promoting Statement Games, he's asking people to follow us, like, and kind of engage with Statement Games through this particular tweet. And in doing so, you're gonna learn more or have an opportunity to win an NFL jersey of your choice. Again, truth be told, you're getting a whole bunch of Statement Games coins. You want to exchange it for a jersey, you're more than welcome to. You want to use it for something else, I'm not going to stop you. But just kind of as a way to, peak and spark the engagement, this is what we actually do. So on that kind of that last slide, you can actually see, and I took this towards like the end of the week here. It definitely kind of approved, but you can kind of see around 4:39 on the 27th of December, 2020, we were up to 116 retweets, 4,000 quotes, and 128 kind of likes, right? As a result of doing this, the Statement Games Twitter account, I believe, picked up close to, I think the total number is about 78 kind of new followers over the course of kind of 2 days. And once we kind of see that engagement, and on the left hand kind of side of the screen, I just want to kind of show the people who started following us and what my notifications kind of look like. But once we get the engagement, we kind of look at it as an opportunity where now we have a great chance to communicate directly with the new people that have made a conscious choice to engage with us and kind of follow us, and we take advantage of that, and we send them kind of a direct message. So my team and I basically go ahead and send them a quick message. We say thank you for the follow. If we can ever do anything for you, feel free to reach out at any time. And 100%, we mean that. If we can do anything for anybody who's listening to this show here or is interacting with us through the platform or social media, this is how we kind of grow, and we're happy to help here. We give them a quick kind of update that as an FYI, StatementGames.com is a free-to-play sports gaming platform that has invented a new form of fantasy sports / football. We tell them or instruct them or guide them on how the 1-minute overview video on our homepage or pin tweet is going to give them a better understanding of who we are and how our game is played. And with regards to the NFL jersey of the choice, we're going to select kind of like a winner of somebody who really performs really well in this Buffalo Bills New England kind of Patriots game. This is how we're distinguishing who the winner is actually going to be. So in a way, it's fun because it's not luck. I really don't kind of have any control of who's going to kind of win here. I mean, the only way that you can actually win is by winning one of kind of these contests. And we're telling you kind of how to play, and we're instructing you on how not only you can access kind of the game through the website here, but we're also available kind of on app. So I wanted to kind of point out on what's kind of been working for us in terms of platform growth, and from a marketing perspective. I'm sure anybody who's kind of listening to this who has a business or has goals or ambitions of growing a certain account or a certain brand of product here. I'm not sure if something like this would work exactly with you, but I'm sure there's components of this that could be very applicable for your efforts and kind of your growth here. It's worked for us. It's a little bit more on the organic side of things here. we'll continue to do it, and we hope people have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Does that help? Does that make
you,
sense? Am I rambling too
yeah,
much, or?
no, you do a good job of explaining exactly how this process works and setting this up. I gotta say, it's interesting from my perspective and point of view because we don't necessarily do the same thing for my company, but I could see how this might be something I take a look at for going forward in the future.
I'm a big kind of believer that from a social media perspective, and again, I can point to growth in all of our social media accounts. Um, I'm not, unfortunately, a hot super bikini chick or something like that, where I can put up a photo or something like that, and I'm going to have all these slugs kind of drooling kind of over me.
Mm-hmm.
We have to interact with people. We have to kind of have conversations. We need to have an idea or a flow of information going back and forth between sports fans and things like that. What do you
Mm-hmm.
like about our content? What don't you like here? What about our game here? The video is only 1 minute long here. Is this something that you would like, and things like that? And the people, and again, the people, and this is the way I look at it as well, because I get asked this question a lot. I'm not sure how you feel about it. People ask me all the time, hey, you know what, who do you follow back, and who do you kind of reciprocate kind of tip? I can tell you right now here, if you're just looking to win something for free from me, I'm not following you back. You're, and that's fine. You're basically utilizing me, and I appreciate the use, if you want to kind of put it like that.
Right.
But the people who exchange ideas with us and interact with you, those are the people that I truly value, and that's who we kind of follow back and go from there. And it wasn't that long ago that we kind of started kind of engaging from a Twitter kind of perspective, and literally it started with zero, a bunch of putzes like myself, and with some help with some great people like that, we literally kind of grew it from zero to, I don't know, what are we hovering now? I think almost 23, 24, kind of 100 followers. Long way to go. A lot of things to do here, but doing things like this is what I've actually done to get the traction that I've actually kind of have. There's other forms that we've do through this, through landing pages, which is reciprocated by an automated kind of email. We've tried other kind of platforms over here, but when you take a look at, hey, how did you guys spend jack shit and basically grow a platform from zero to a database of about 15K people? It's through tactics like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And Twitter is a great networking tool. That's
great.
what
Yep.
I generally use that as far as if people are adding value to my timeline, then I want to be following them. And if
exactly, it's all about
not
adding
any
value.
value, then you're not, someone that I want on my timeline. But no, that's really great. And it was a good look behind the veil of how you do social media from a business perspective. But with that, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show here and talk about the making picks. So we got the Washington football team versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Mark, why don't you go into how to play the game and what we're going to be talking about here?
And as an FYI, I'm not going to steal your thunder over here, but as you explore opportunities with statement games, Nathan will give you a description here. But this Sunday night, last Sunday night freaking game of the year, how does that kind of sound? Between the Washington Football Club and the Philadelphia Eagles, is sponsored by the IDP guys here. VIP members who become the overall tournament winner is going to have 3,000 credits or $30 topped up into their statement games kind of account. You can utilize that for a sports knitted cap of your choice, or whatever you want. But basically, the way they actually play is, first you got to access StatementGames.com, or find us in the App Store, Statement Games Fantasy Sports, Google or Apple. Join that tournament. We're giving you 60 free credits, or many of you probably already have coins by playing statement games. Join that IDP guys, Washington Football Club, Philadelphia Eagles tournament. I'm going to present you with a list of anywhere between 50 to 60 props, or game props and player props. You pick 10 of them. You rank them in order of confidence from 10 through 1. You'll get points for each question that become correct. You're going to play in a league of anywhere between 8 to 10 people. The person with the most points from correct picks wins.
Yeah, absolutely. And our sponsor, IDP guys, is your number one source for non-standard fantasy football. Play the contest and visit idpguys.org and step up your fantasy game.
And just as a quick effort, you have to eventually be a VIP member to claim kind of like the grand prize. But the way that we typically work it is, hey, play for free. And if you find yourself to be the overall tournament winner, hit me up within 24 hours after you kind of like won here. We'll get you set up with the VIP program, and you kind of go from there. Or jump in kind of now and take advantage of all this stuff between now and December 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got the Eagles, we've got Washington. This is the NFC East. Mark, why don't you give your perspective on this game, especially as a Giants fan? I know you guys are trying to make it into the playoffs, and this game is going to matter for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, obviously, I want the Giants to win. I technically kind of feel it's a little embarrassing to actually have a 6-win team kind of in the playoffs, but it is what it is here. I think from a Giants kind of perspective, I'm pretty sure that they would actually get like I think it's what I mean. New Orleans has locked up that division, so you're probably looking at either what like the Bears or Tampa Bay or I think it's who's the other team? Do you know off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head.
Or something like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's a team that the Giants have already lost to most likely this year. So I like the thought of, all right, maybe you get a home playoff game and revenge. Your ideal situation in here is they win, and then obviously you have Philadelphia lose here. But from a Washington perspective here, you win the division if you win this game here. So I don't think there's much additional build-up that's needed when you're talking about Sunday Night Football here. Washington wins. They're in. They're moving on here. We've already touched upon like the Haskins kind of situation. You're starting a very kind of weak practice squad, quarterback, for Sunday night here. But I don't really think you can shake a stick at the Washington Football Club's defense. It's one of the better defenses in the league. They have the ability to score on defense here. So if from a Washington perspective, a little bit kind of ball control, get the quarterback managing the game here. Team is very kind of well coached. And I expect them to kind of play well here. A lot of people are kind of echoing the tune about how Philadelphia will not roll over in this game. It's definitely kind of like a t-shirt and cap game, which is something that I think Schwartz, the coordinator on Philadelphia, can actually said. I actually heard that term kind of echoed a lot by Arians down in Tampa Bay, and where they want to prevent somebody from getting a hat and a t-shirt for winning this game in their home kind of field here. From my particular perspective, I think Philadelphia is dead. I think they're kind of done. It's still Washington, great kind of or good defense, one of the better defenses in the NFL. You're going up against a rookie quarterback in Jalen. So that's how I'm setting the table for Sunday Night Football. Washington wins during the playoffs and they win the division. Philadelphia is out. I believe that they're actually dead, and I'm banking on the defense of Washington to show up strong and take advantage of a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, no, I agree. Washington controls their fate, and the rest of the NFC East is going to be looking to this game to see if they can make it in. So, well, let's transition over. I know that you usually have something to say when people challenge us. So go for it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we get challenged all the time. I guess people are more challenging than me now that I've put up another goose egg, especially on the basketball perspective. But I'm getting freaking better at football. This is the second week in a row here where I'm at least 2 for 3. We're coming up with my picks. I'm looking for a solid 3 for 3 to close out the regular season kind of NFL. You want to continue to take a shots at me, go ahead and do so. However, if you're going to do so, just keep in mind that when you're messing with us and you're messing with me, you're messing with
There it is. Messing with the maker picks. All right. So let me just jump us over to the screen here. So I'm realizing that, usually we kind of plan out our picks right before the show, and we didn't do that this time. So this is straight from the gut. So you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I'm not making kind of any questions or secret about it. I don't want to steal a lot of the things that you're getting into, but I'm really big on the Washington defense here. So just go right over to that defensive category. Number 10 pick, lock in Washington football defense over 2.5 sacks.
Over. All right, I like that. I like that. Let me see here. Let's it is a rookie quarterback, but I think Jalen Hurts is a solid player. He's going to probably get a lot of passes in, but I feel like the Washington football defense could go over 1.5 turnovers, because that's actually a pretty low number in
Yeah,
my
I'm
opinion,
surprised at that, and
and
that's what I was
especially if
actually
you've
looking
got
at.
fumbles involved there too. So that's one pick and a fumble, and boom, there you go. You've got that one. So I like it.
All right, so I'm gonna turn my attention to the kind of like game total here. Don't see Washington moving the ball, and I definitely look at Washington's defense dominating. That will be a reoccurring theme for me throughout the course of this game here. So why play games here? Let's just go ahead and lock in the point total under 42.5 points.
All right. All right. And you know what? I think I agree with you there. I think the team I think Washington will score some points. I think it'll be on defense, but I think mostly this will be a defensive struggle. So I'm gonna put Washington under 22.5 points. I think they win this game, and they win with a low score.
All right, not bad here. All right, so I'm kind of like going a couple different ways here. But you know what? I'm just going to stick with a reoccurring kind of theme, and I'm really locking into Washington. So let's go over to the running back category, and I don't care who it is. You can let's go ahead and combine whatever two backs you actually want. Really doesn't kind of matter to me. Philadelphia running backs combined kind of as a team will go under 75.5 rushing yards.
Okay. I like it. So I'm gonna flip the script a little bit on this, because I do like Jalen Hurts, and I like what he's able to do for the most part. I think that he will go. I'm going to actually put him over on the completions here, 21.5. I think he's going to be able to move the ball. I just don't think he's going to be able to finish. I think it's going to be drives where he's marching down the field, and then the Washington football team kind of comes up and makes a stop or a conversion. So I'll give him 21.5 completions there. So, uh, but with that's we've got our picks in. I'll go ahead and fill this in after, and we'll see where we go from here. What picks hit, what picks miss, and how are you feeling about that?
No, I like it. I mean, I definitely can feel strong. I'm just, I'm thinking about it from a Giants kind of perspective. I'm very torn. I want to make the playoffs. I want, from an experience perspective, for kind of that team. Daniel Jones isn't playing kind of at 100%, but I also feel very strongly that it's embarrassing to have a six kind of win team in the playoffs here. So let's just say I'm not necessarily going to be overly disappointed if the Giants beat Dallas and Washington wins. I think there's just a huge difference between 7-9 and 6-10 when you're playoffs. Seattle was 7-9 a few kind of years back, and wound up kind of beating the Saints at home kind of a playoff game. I don't believe there's ever been a 6-win team that made the playoffs, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking at. But also from a fan kind of perspective, the way that I was actually judging the Giants this year was enough was enough. You had to prove you had the ability to beat Philadelphia this year, which they've done, and you also have to prove to the fan base that you have the ability to beat Dallas. Came close earlier this year, and look, beat this fucking team. So I don't necessarily want to see the Cowboys in the playoffs either. So it's either Giants or Washington, whatever result kind of happens with come Sunday here, I'll be all right with. But that's what I got.
Yeah, I mean, this will be historic nevertheless, because all three of the potential NFC East division winners started 2-7, and that's never resulted in a playoff team. So that'll be a record broken regardless. So with that, yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll submit this. We'll see how the game goes, and make sure that you're watching. And with that, just trying to close. Okay, so apparently I don't have my script for the end, but make sure you're following Statement Games at Statement Games on all social media. And subscribe to the channel as well as playing StatementGames.com. We'll see you next week, Mark.
See you next week. Happy New Year, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Yep. See ya.